Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on a Jupiter and Mars. Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today I'm doing Fly Me to the Moon, written by Bart Howard, and I am basing this video on Frank Sinatra's version. I got a ton of requests for this one, and it's really fun to play. Let's jump in. Okay, so first off, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description that'll help you follow along and see where the chords and the lyrics line up with each other. The song is made up of 4 verses, one of which is instrumental, and each verse has 2 sections. We'll call them the A section and the B section. The A section is the same for all 4 verses, while the B section is a little different in each. Let's start out here with the A section. Here's the chords for that. So first off, we've got this A minor 7. So in the right hand, I'm doing a G, a C, and an E. This is middle C, by the way. And then with my left hand thumb, an octave lower, I am doing an A bass note. Next up, we've got a D minor 7. So in the right hand, I've got F, A, and C, and I went down to a D in the left hand there. Next up, we've got this G7. In the right hand, I'm doing F, G, B, and D. Notice from that F, I kept my thumb where it was, and I'm doing first, second, third, and fifth finger there. If that is too tricky for you, you can totally leave out that G. I like the way it sounds though. And of course, I'm doing a G bass note here in my left hand. And then finally here, we'll land on this C major 7. And so going down to this low C here with my pinky, and then E, G, and B here. And I'll talk about the asterisks in a second. We're in 4/4 time, so each of these measures gets 4 counts. Let me just slowly play through each of these chords again for the first line. We've got A minor 7, 2, 3, 4, D minor 7, 2, 3, 4, G7, 2, 3, 4, C major 7, 2, 3, 4. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Notice I had to kind of fudge it there with moving my thumb to that G. There's a few different ways you can feel out the way, because your left hand doesn't stay within a 5-finger position in the song. You're kind of just working around with your fingers, making it work. Okay, next line, we've got this F major chord. So just F, A, C like we were doing with the D minor 7, but this time it's actually an F bass note. Now we've got this B minor 7 flat 5. So of course the bass note's gonna be a B. I'm gonna come up here with my thumb, and my right hand thumb can stay on that F. We're just gonna kind of stretch our hand up. So it's F, B, and D there. Okay, now we've got this E7, I'm going to use my 4th finger there, I think, in the left hand. And then in the right hand, we've got a G sharp. I know it says A flat. Technically, it should be a G sharp. B and D there. And that's a pretty smooth transition from the B. These 2 fingers stay in the same place. And then finally, to finish this up, we've got A minor. So A, C, E. Got my A thumb there, and then A7. Now to do that, we're just gonna sharp this C up to a C sharp. I know it says D flat, and I'm gonna drop my thumb down to G. And this is the first time we've had 2 chords in the same measure, so each of those get 2 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this line, we've got, and let me see what spring is like on a Jupiter and Mars. Cool. Let's talk about the rhythm a little bit, because this is an energetic, peppy song, and we want to get a little bit of a groove going. So in the right hand, I'm going to do quarter notes. So just playing on every count. And that sounds great for a version of this song. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Okay. Let's talk about those asterisks there. So this is what I mean by that. We've got C major 7 for 2 counts. The dash there is the second count. Then a C6, which you replace the B with the A there. Then a C7, a C dominant 7. So instead of the B, it's a B flat. So basically, we go bum, 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 bum for the notes. B, B, A, B flat for the top notes of the chords. So that's going to sound like 1, 2, 3, 4. I did it with asterisks because the chords in the lyric chart looked too messy if I just kept writing C6, C7. So that's what that is, and it's optional, but it's nice little melody there. And you could do the whole song like this, just holding the left hand bass notes and pulsing on those quarter notes. But I'm gonna do a little bit more rhythm in the left hand. We're gonna need to think in eighth notes. So instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4, we're dividing the beat in half, thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I said that kind of funny. I said it with swing, which I don't usually do. So it's not evenly divided. That would be 1 and 2 and 3. This is a swing song. It's really swung. So the division is not even. It's sort of long, short, long, short, long. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and da, 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 da. That's the feel for this song. And in addition to hitting the downbeat with the left hand, I am also going to play on the and after 2 and the and after 4. So just looping it on the A minor 7, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. So take it slow at first. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. So let me play the whole A section with that rhythm. Do it a little bit slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on a Jupiter and Mars. In other words, so that would be going into the next section. And just to demonstrate, if we didn't swing those eighth notes, it would sound like this. Fly me to the moon, let me play. Sounds okay, but it just doesn't have the vibe. One final little touch I want to show you before we learn the B section here is the song starts out with these drums that's just kind of playing this swung rhythm. Da, 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 da. But then at the last minute before the song starts, we hear this little. It's just a E, so an octave above middle C, and then a higher E. The timing there would be the 3 and of the last measure of count off before you start the song. So 1, 2 and 3, 4, and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Fly me. So you can start it like that if you like. Okay, so let's learn the B section, which is the second half of the verses. That's for the in other words parts. Here's the chords for that. Like I said, this part is different for each verse, but this is how it is for that first verse. So we're going to start off on the D minor 7, just like we've been doing it. Might actually make sense to use fourth finger here based on where we're going. Then we've got this F over G. So that's a really easy transition. You just keep doing the same thing in the right hand. F, A, C. You're just changing the bass note to a G. Hold my hand. C major 7, just like we did it. Well, there is the asterisk. Notice there's only one asterisk on this one. And for that, it's just going to be C major 7, C6. Measures divided in half. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, chords and lyrics chart just looked cleaner doing it that way. Next, we've got this E minor. So E bass note with the third finger, G, B with the second finger, and E. Only for 2 counts though, because we've also got an A7 in this measure, and that's just A7 the exact same way we did it before. Transition between those 2 chords is really easy, only the middle note has to change. So far we've got, in other words, hold my hand. Then we're right back. This one starts similarly. In other words, so D minor 7 to the F over G. Baby, kiss me. So same thing with the single asterisk there, and then we're just gonna leap up to a measure of the E7, just like we were doing it before. So one more time on that whole B section. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. And then it would be going into the next verse. Notice there, just when I was building up the energy, I'll do this throughout the song, I started doing just more of those offbeat eighth note left hand rhythms like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and you can play around with that throughout. Cool. So we're almost there. We just need to look at the slight variations in that B section for the next few verses. For verse 2, the A section is the exact same. It's just different lyrics. We've got the fill my heart with song, let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. Okay, so here is the B section for this verse. It's really similar. In other words, please be true. So far the exact same as the other one. Here's where it's a little different. In other words, I love you. So when we go to that F over G, it's only on that for 2 counts before we flat the A down to an A flat for that F minor over G. I love you. And then we've just got C6 for 2 measures. 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Then we're in the instrumental section. Once again, the A section is the same. It's just no words. I would say it's pretty energetic here. And of course, there's all the horns and little decorations going on the recording. I'm not going to do any of that on the piano, but I am going to play it pretty emphatically and loudly. But when you get to the F, kind of pulls back. Okay, here's the B section for the instrumental section. It's really similar to the B section from the first verse, but we've got this extra F dominant 7 there in the first line of it. So we've got D minor 7, F over G, C major 7 for only 2 counts up to this F dominant 7. So of course I'm going to go up to the F bass note, and then in the right hand you can do A, C, E flat. If that's too tricky, you could totally just stay on the C major 7, but it's a nice touch there, and then it goes to the E minor and the A7 as before. So one more time. Cool. And then this next line is just like the end of the first verse. Do want to say though, on this E7, on the recording, pretty much any time this comes up, there is this flat 9 that you hear. On piano, it sounded too heavy-handed for me during the verses, but this might be a cool place to sneak it in. So it's just on the top of what you're already doing. We're adding an F. You have to change which finger you're using, 1, 2, 3, and 5. So that just is a nice tense sound to head into the final verse. Fill my heart with song. So, of course, A section is the same. And then here is the final B section. So we've got, in other words, please be true. This is a really cool moment here. So E minor 7 flat 5. I've got an E here, and I'm doing G, B flat, and D. True. So this is a A7 flat 9. Going to a A here, and then I'm keeping the bottom 2 notes from the E minor 7 flat 5. So we've got a G, B flat, and then I'm adding this D flat here on top. Okay, next line. In other words. So far that's the same as it's been, but then we have this extra time through the lyrics. In other words. So this is a F minor 7, first time that's come up, F bass note, and notice I'm moving my left hand up higher than it's been. I'm doing that with my pinky for the low F there. And then in the right hand, I'm basically playing an A flat major chord. So A flat, C, and E flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, then A flat over B flat. There's different ways you could write that chord, but I think that's pretty clear. It's just you keep doing that A flat with a B flat bass note, doing that with my second finger. Then finally, we've got this I love. So I'm doing a G minor 7 there. So G, B, D, and F if you want to voice it like that, so you don't have the extra G there and it's a little easier to play, you can do that. But I'm going to do it like that. I love. So going to that G7, G dominant 7, all that needs to change is that B flat goes to the G there. And if you want it to sound just like the recording, this is kind of tricky, but the way that they voice that first G chord is like that. It's actually a G7 sharp 9. So it would be a B, an F, and a G sharp. It's really crunchy sounding. I love, and then you would just sharp it there. But I think it's a little bit more accessible both to the ears and the fingers to just do the G minor 7 to the G7. So that's what I'm gonna do. One nice touch to get the energy of the recording here is to actually, on these two G chords, just hold the right hand and pulse chord notes with the left hand as we kind of are getting to wrapping up the song here. So let me just play it from the middle line here and then we can finish it up. In other words, I love you. Okay, so here's the 3 asterisk here. Here's what you play. It's a G and a G with an E in the middle, but you kind of slide with an E flat grace note into that. If that's too tricky, you could do it without the slide, or you could leave out the low G. And here's the rhythm that you play it on here. You got 2 measures for this, and you're gonna play on beat 3 of the first measure, then 1 and after 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3. And then the final moment of the song, it's just C's. You, I did octaves with my left hand and a C up here, but it really doesn't matter. You could do a bunch of octaves. You could just do 1 in each hand. It'll sound cool. So let me just play that whole final B section one more time, and then we'll wrap this up and I'll do the full cover. In other words, please be true. In other words, in other words, I love 1, 2, 3, 4. You. Okay, thank you for sticking with me. I'm now going to do a full cover so you can see how all these parts we've talked about fit together in the full song. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this. Also leave a request in the comments. Like I said, this one was a request. Okay, here's my version of Fly Me to the Moon. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on a Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love